said that.
David,
See,
do you ever feel poor?
I think the more apropos question, Dane, is have I ever felt rich? I think that's the. I think that's the. I think to ask the question is to answer the question.
I would hold on just like another minute to make sure, and then go. Okay, that your everything's live and everything.
Is
Or you
it
just
not
dive in.
live? It
It's
says
gonna be,
live.
but it takes like like a 20 seconds or 30 for everything to catch up, right? Each stream has to come live. So if you don't want people to miss what you're saying,
Gross.
hold off like you know what I'm saying?
We'll just keep
Ha-
hobnobbing it up. How about we
Right.
just
Just wanted to
chop
let
it
you know.
chop it up? And that was not. If
Um,
anybody is live, that was not Nameless Faceless Guy. That was a Canadian.
no,
He is super nice.
that's oddly enough, nameless faceless guy actually brought in his own replacement. It's rather weird, but
We work so much better with him now.
Yeah, he claims to want to see this thing go, but he just can't wait to get out the door. So
Listen,
good for him.
it's kind of like all these politicians. He's all bark, no bite.
Yeah,
No actual.
yeah,
No actual substance behind the words. It's just like, yeah, I'll be there. We got to make this country
Yeah.
great again.
Rhetoric over reality for sure.
Build back better.
So anyway, David, about being
Yes.
poor and if you ever feel it, if there's anything I learned, taking cues from your leaders, right,
Yes.
as one does when they lead,
They
is
are
they're
the
supposed
experts, Dane.
they're supposed to show you how to do things better than you do them, and I think the lesson that I'm learning from them is you never have to feel poor. Just run up a tab on somebody else and just live it up. And then if the chickens ever come home to roost, just cut their heads off in a Santeria ceremony.
Wouldn't that be so easy? Just, yeah, sure. One of you why don't you IRS agents come to my door and pry it out of my cold, dead hands? Why don't you do that? All right? Or maybe we just agree that I paid what I owed and we can just meet again next year, huh? Huh?
Yeah.
So.
There's a mixture when they come to my door. There's a mixture of Unfortunate Son and who was it? Was it Blink? Oh no, I just had it. Who's saying Santeria?
I don't practice Santeria. That one?
Yeah, that one.
That's Sublime.
Sublime. See, it was on my head.
Hey, hey! I got it. Give me a second.
It was in my head, and then for some reason, it ran out of my head, and I got Blink 182, and then that was way off. So
I'm about to be a real dickhead, and we might lose 2 followers out of our 150. I do confuse 311 with Sublime sometimes. I never do it within the song. I know instinctively. Yeah, well, yeah. So they've got kind of the same feel to me, and they got different singers, obviously. But
listen, I'm gonna back you up on this one. People don't like it. They don't like it. This might be our most controversial opinion on the 195 episodes of the WMD podcast. But anyway,
this is the one that gets us canceled.
David, my tongue-in-cheek statement was because there's a cause for celebration, I guess, if it's not your money. For the first time in U.S. history this week, the payments on the debt, the interest payments, have now overtaken defense spending. And for those of you keeping tabs at home, defense spending runs about $900 billion a year, more than the next, I think, 10 or 11 countries combined. And now the United States government, I would say they pay it, but we pay it with our mortgaged futures, pay more in interest than we do for all of our tanks and planes and bombs spreading democracy all around the world. Isn't that great? Aren't we? They're just doing swimmingly up there in D.C.
You know what we call this, Dan? We call this the poutine. This is the shit that you have to listen to when you're sitting at home going, there's no way they know what the fuck they're talking about.
Not a
like
chance.
when they printed out 40% of all the money that's ever been made, ever in 1 year. And then they go, don't worry, this won't lead to inflation. Trust the experts. Dan, yeah. I pay. It's almost like the Congress and and everyone working up there on Capitol Hill, reflect my pocketbook, because I'm paying almost as much in interest as I do for my actual car loan now. Like,
Wait,
it's
so
over 50%.
So your interest is the same amount as what you're paying down on your principal?
Damn near. It's about half of it.
Well, as unfortunate as that sounds for you,
But
definitely world's
I'm still
smallest
handling money
violin.
better than the government.
You're still actually paying down the principal, whereas they're jacking it up.
Right. And with the scary thing is, they've got no signs of stopping.
No.
It's like,
why would they? It's your money.
I'm not going to be like, it's like the best way I could describe it. You remember when you were a kid? And you used to be like, yeah, I keep myself up at night doing that. But remember when you were so willing to, like, have your parent pay for that action figure? It's just a useless piece of plastic that they just slapped $20 on. They're like, somebody will pay for it. You're like, that's obviously got a value of $20, Mom. I'm gonna play with it for like ever. Like, that's if I play for it for ever, like, dude, you're getting money back at that point. You're ripping them off, Mom. But now I look at like $20 for like anything. I'm like, do I need it this week, or can I get it next week? That's how the government looks at their money, because they're all millionaires now, and they don't want to spend any of that. But they look at the money that comes in every year from taxes, like, I'm gonna get me that useless piece of plastic. You know what? Put 2 of them on back order, because I know I'm gonna be getting those too.
$11 million a pop for cruise missiles? Sign me up, baby. Give me 10 of them.
Why stop there?
Every 5 minutes.
Right. What does F-27 do?
That was cool. Do it again.
Cool. What does F-28 do? It only cost. Remember when we missed one of them, when they had those balloons that we were shooting down, and one of the F-20, or was it an F-22 or somebody? One of the attackers missed with the missile on the balloon. It's just like, there goes $150,000 into someone's backyard. Oh my god.
150, boy, you're cheap. That's not.
I was talking about the Sidewinder. It's not a very expensive one. It can't be an expensive one. It's just a Sidewinder.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know if that's a cause for celebration. It sure as shit ain't for us. Maybe for those dick knobs up there in D.C. But that's where we are. That's where we are as a country. And based on what we're talking about this week, I don't see any signs of it getting better. What are we talking about this week?
You know what, Dane? Before we jump into what we are talking about this week, I think that they are handling their money so well that we need to invite them into more aspects of our lives. I think they need to be able to tell us what we can talk about. Oh, listen, wait, they're already working on that.
They've been doing a great job with all that we've entrusted them with so far. So, why not give them some more power?
All right. Well,
that's the way I see
it. Another cheery note, because that's what we're all about here on Weapons of Immediate Destruction, is cheer and happiness. And
only happy things.
Light on the top of the hill there. Culture Corner. Is we dumb? Do we murd our wicks up? Do we forget to have the thought that we forgot about? How are we ranking, Dane? We talking educational system?
We ain't doing hot there, Chief. I think we're as last check, we are ranked 36th in the world in literacy. So have a lot of money and resources to spend, $1 trillion a year bombing people and another $1 trillion a year paying on debt we accrued, years or decades ago, but don't have enough money to get smart.
Can't make these kids educated.
Somehow it seems like the money spent on education is not directly correlated with the educational outcomes. But
you know what we should do, Dane? We should blame the students. They're not trying hard enough.
Yeah,
good.
Damn entitled.
That students. Whole generation, they don't even want to study anymore. If they're going to blame our generation for not working, I'm going to blame that generation for not reading.
Listen,
all right? It's
time for the shit to roll downhill. As we climb up the hill, as more, boomers and great generations fall off of it and death, and we kind of get up there, it's time for us to start shitting on the generations below us. So
yeah, that's right.
Take
it
that,
feels good.
Z's.
Feels
Z's
good.
and whatever the one is.
Zers. Is that right? Zers?
You're gonna have to ask one of them about Z's and Zers.
Call somebody purple with purple hair. We got to get him on the line right away. Epstein did not kill himself, Dane. What are we talking about there? We talk about suspend to defend, Dane. If the glove don't fit, you're all full of shit.
Exactly.
You got to do the democracy thing. You have to be a tyrant, don't you understand? You fucking idiots.
Yeah, that's how democracy works, you big dumb dummies.
It's not like it. Grow up and get in the real world, Dane. Democracy needs tyranny. Duh.
Or it doesn't work. Yeah.
Well, there's that. But with all that being said, Dane, you ready to discuss these illustrious topics?
Let's get into it. Welcome to Weapons of Meme Destruction Podcast, episode 195, which can be found at wmdpodcast.com/195. You get the audio only on any podcast catcher. Just search Weapons of Meme Destruction. And you can get the videos right here on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, X. We are now transitioning more to a live stream show every week at 6 p.m. on Fridays on YouTube, X, and Rumble. Dane's work schedule permitting, there might be some hiccups here and there, but the plan moving forward is to live stream every week at 6. So for those of you that were here last week for our inaugural live stream episode, thank you for the newbies here this week. And you know the rules. Jump in that comment section, tell us why we're wrong, tell us why we're awesome, tell us why we're beautiful, especially David. It really bucks up his spirits after a long hard week. And with that, I think we're getting into it for this week. David, why are we so stupid? And
why is we dumb?
By we, I mean, the royal we, I suppose. But not
Do you?
the... yeah.
You're a pretty fart smeller there, Dane, so I wouldn't be so worried about your IQ level as I would be of mine. But first of all, I want to reprimand you for not saying detransitioning into becoming a live show. Or made it some kind of LGBTQ RSTVYXW234.
Yeah, I'm not very inclusive. My apologies.
Dane, it gets better. Okay?
Does it?
We're forward thinking on this podcast. All right.
Okay.
Dane, you hit me with some staggering statistics. I guess that's that whole we are number one and we're the best country in the world and yada yada yada. I guess that Jeff Daniels clip that I saw a while ago, I don't even know what it's for, was pretty factually accurate. We're like 32nd in literacy, which that's pretty easy to do. I mean, no offense to all you illiterate bastards out there. No offense.
We love you
They're still
anyway.
hooked on phonics. You can still pull it around. You can still try. I mean, my God. It's never too late, as they say.
So what are those stats Dave is referring to? I'm going to pull them up right now for the video listeners and for the audio only people later. Just going to go through a couple of them here real quick. And just so you know, this isn't from some, super ultra government hating homeschool all your kids think tank or whatever. This is from the what's the name of the organization? National Literacy Institute. Publishes these statistics. They keep track of it and let us know how dumb our future generations are going to be. And this is what they have to say. So on average, 79% of U.S. adults nationwide are literate in 2024. And so for those of you keeping track at home, for those of you who are better at math than you are at reading, that means 21% of adults in the United States are functionally illiterate. 21%. Damn near a quarter of all U.S. adults are illiterate. Next stat, 54% of adults have a literacy rate below a 6th grade reading level. 20% are below a 5th grade level.
Pause.
So even if you're literate, almost half of you can't read above a 6th grade level. That's rough.
Hold on. What grade was Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret? Because you're telling me that grade is where we lost a couple of folk.
I don't know. We didn't read that in school.
I think it was 5th, because it went along with sex education. I remember that, which has been a hot topic for a while now.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
See
what I did there?
I could be off by a grade or two, but I think for us, 6th grade was around like The Scarlet Letter, A Tale of Two Cities. I think that was around 6th, 7th. It definitely wasn't more than 8th. That wasn't high school, I don't think.
No.
Maybe it was.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, because remember, there is a show with Jeff Foxworthy on it called "Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader?" And some of those questions, I was like, oh.
Some of those 5th graders are pretty with it.
Yeah. And then you don't. So I'm just saying, like, hey, if they can't read at a 2nd grade level, maybe that's a problem. But if they can read The Tale of Two Cities and get most of it, I guess that's fine. Count.
Listen, man. I don't know. To Kill a Mockingbird, I think, was another one that was right around that same area.
Yeah.
You know, some of the classics. But anyway, 54% of U.S. adults probably can't read any of those books I just mentioned. That's unfortunate. Next statistic. Low levels of literacy cost the U.S. up to $2.2 trillion per year. Now, you're thinking, where the hell do they get that stat from? That's just general productivity, and that if you have a more educated, high-skilled society, they're capable of doing jobs that on, the global market of our interconnected, globalism, for lack of a better term, you are more marketable. Your skills are more valuable. So the things that your society can produce and contribute to generates more revenue, and that's where that $2.2 trillion of lost productivity comes from in the United States every year with these literacy rates. And then the last stat we want to share for you here, well, not the last one, but the last one on this graphic, 34% of adults lacking literacy proficiency were born outside the United States. So take that for whatever it's worth. David, so here's the problem that I have with all this. I have many, to be sure.
You always do.
But I was thinking about this the other day, and while I'm talking about what I'm thinking about, I want to throw up the actual last statistic, and this was from a different graphic. The U.S. ranks 36th in literacy in the world. And the reason why that stat is particularly important is because what I was just getting ready to talk about is the United States, according to the OECD, spends the second highest amount in the world on per pupil education spending. That is roughly about, it's like $19,000 and some change, but we can just round up and just say $20,000 a year on average is how much the U.S. education system at all levels spends per student. I think number one in the world is one of the Nordic countries. It might be like Norway or something like that. It just barely outpaces the U.S. But anyway, the United States spends more than any other country in the world, save one, on education, and yet it ranks 36th in literacy.
And Dane,
and the reason,
does that come from the government? Is there like a Department of Education that's in charge of handling funds that distributes this to the schools, I'm assuming?
Yes and no. Yes, the federal government, the Federal Department of Education does, strings attached, send money back to states in terms of and instituting its curriculum programs and all that kind of stuff. But by and large, education is handled at the state level primarily, with federal oversight, federal regulations, that kind of stuff. However, the reason why this is important is, as any of you know that have been here for any length of time, know that I myself in particular, but I think David agrees with me, so I can say this like as a podcast, we tout the virtues of homeschool. And a lot of directions or a lot of time, the direction we take that argument in is saving your kids from the propaganda, the all sunshine shines from the ass of the government. If there's anything wrong in the world, government will fix it. That type of propaganda. The ones that don't teach history at all. The ones that you come to this podcast to learn real history because, you suffered from educational malpractice in your schools. And we also talk about homeschooling being important to save your kids from social issues like bullying or, this day and age, school shootings, et cetera, et cetera. And as important as those are, I really, even though this isn't a meme section, I want to point to this and say, even the basics, they're not doing right. So even if they weren't trying to propagandize your kids, even if they weren't socializing your kids into all forms of degeneracy, you can't even rely on them to teach your kids the basics of reading, writing, and arithmetic, despite the fact that you're taxed into oblivion to do it. So, chalk another one up for homeschoolers, I suppose, but it's really unfortunate that the fact that we're being stolen from to the degree that we are to fund education in this country, to the degree that we are, and these are all the results we have to show for it, that's doesn't speak well of those in charge.
Well, firstly, let me defend myself and say that I'm not a proponent, per se, of homeschooling, but I do yield that there are definite benefits to it. I personally was not homeschooled, nor do I intend to homeschool, but I do appreciate those that can and that do it. Now, with all that being said, Dave, I'm just happy that these schools are so forward-thinking with their DEI education and their critical race theory that they've been teaching, and letting pamphlets get handed out to grade school kids at a very young age about very sexually aggressive things. Just note any school board hearing that you Google on YouTube with a parent screaming at the school board about what they saw in their kid's book. I'm not going to list any of them here. I just remember a couple of them. One of them was reading out basically how to fillet somebody, and they were trying to stop him from reading it out. He's like, no, I'm just going to keep reading this because you said it was okay for it to be read in my first grade child's elementary school. So I'm going to read it to you as an adult because obviously you can handle it, right? Well, this, that, the other. And then anyway, he ended it really well by saying that if you don't hand in your resignations, you'll have a lawsuit on your desk by tomorrow from, I think he had a lawyer or something like that. So anyway, it's just good to know that they've left all the things that actually help you in the world, like reading, writing, arithmetic, logical, critical thinking, questioning authority, perhaps. They leave those all in the gutter, but they can teach you about those very important things that teach you that because he's white, you have to hate him because he's hated you forever. Right, dummy?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on in this world anymore.
If you're going to spend time and energy on that other bullshit, you better make sure you have come correct on the core things that actually matter.
Nail
right?
it.
You better be number one in the world by a mile. Well, let's use defense spending as an example. You better outpace the next highest spending countries in education, the next 10 or 11 of them combined. Your test scores better be that far ahead of all of them before you start getting into all of that other nonsense bullshit. But yet, here we are, the world we live in where, the teachers' unions will go to the barricades to be able to talk to your kids about their gender in second grade while little Johnny can't even read. So again, and that's the purpose for the title of this segment is illiterate.
You got it.
Yeah.
See?
I just had to slow down a little bit.
You came up with it.
I know in my head it sound I didn't say it that many times, but I kind of was front running it by saying that if this is how much money our leaders are spending on education and these are the results we're getting, we don't have very competent leaders. And to an extent, it's a feedback loop, right? Because if you have, 21% of your adult population, the people that are voting, that are functionally illiterate, and they're the ones that are going to keep electing bartenders from the Bronx to legislate on behalf of 330 million of us, we're not going to have good outcomes. We're going to get a bunch of, empty rhetoric and screaming up on Capitol Hill about God knows what, completely irrelevant, divisive things, while the country burns to the ground. And can we really expect anything different? Obviously the name of the segment is a play on the movie Idiocracy, but we're moving that direction, and we're moving in that direction fast. And it's because there's this feedback loop where dumb people elect dumb people, and the elected dumb people make sure that the dumb people stay dumb. And as crass as that sounds, I'm really not even necessarily attacking the students or the people that were the victims of the educational malpractice and can't read, because they were sold a bill of goods. It's okay. Just send your kids to public school. It'll be fine. The government will educate them. And isn't that just a nice little metaphor for everything government does? Just trust us. We'll take care of it. We'll fix the problem, even though we caused the problem. Don't worry about it. And yet, fast forward, and this is what you get. So, let this be a lesson to those of you who still have any faith left in the system whatsoever. These people don't care about you. They will take your money and they will spend it on nonsense, if they even spend it on you at all, and the rest of it will just go in their pockets while your society collapses around you. So, hooray for them, I suppose.
Well, it brings to mind the new legislation out in California where they created a house, or basically a department, to get rid of homelessness. But it's that old Bo Burnham joke. I created the rape whistle, but if my intended purpose of the rape whistle was to drop the amount of rapes, then it will drop the sale of my rape whistles, which will then put me into fiscal dire straits. So I kind of need it to keep going. So it's what they're doing over in California. They put billions of dollars into this program. And if they actually solve the homelessness, then the program wouldn't exist anymore. So if they solve the problem, they're literally putting themselves out of a job, which is why we have these problems in government all the time that just seem to fester forever. We just can't solve any of them when it's pretty easy. Shit, they solved it real quick out in San Fran when Xi showed up. Where'd they put him? They haven't even said where they put him yet. They didn't even say, we just put a blanket over him, is what we did. And David, you couldn't see him.
I'm actually glad you brought that up, because this reminds me of a headline from a little over a month ago, where that organization in California, or that government agency that they set up, misplaced, a la the IRS, the Pentagon, or whatever. How they lose trillions, and they're like, whoops, I don't know where it went. Yes, that California governing organization that they set up to combat homeless, I think it lost in the range of like $20 billion, and they can't account for where it went and didn't fix any of the problem. So
fuck it. Throw it on our debt. I'll pay it down someday.
I don't know if you had that story in mind when you were bringing that up, but yeah, that's pretty much par for the course for these people.
Yeah, we'll fix it. Just give us more money.
Yeah.
Trust us.
Or usually what they do is they're like, wow, the tax cattle didn't evade enough taxes this year. We have a lot of extra. We need to figure out how to spend it. Just make up a new agency and tell them you're spending it on that.
Just put it in there. Put it in the closet.
Never seems to go that
the comical amount of money. Just stuff it into a closet somewhere. We'll figure it out.
So where do we go from here, folks? I mean, we have a country of not an entire country, but entirely too many uneducated voters electing morons to lead us. And what's going to happen when you have a country doing that? Well, not only is it going down in flames around you, but it also does completely counterproductive, stupid things like fighting for democracy in a country where democracy has been completely suspended, torched, an afterthought, however you want to phrase it. Because as of, I believe it was either May 20th or May 21st, I don't remember what the exact last day was.
21st.
As of May 21st, 2024, so 3 days ago, as we sit here and record this, Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, Mr. Army Suits, his presidential term ended in Ukraine. And did you hear about any Ukrainian elections? I didn't. Well, that's because he suspended it. And under the guise of martial law, saying, listen, that whole democracy thing that the U.S. government is sending us billions for and that we're fighting to the death for as the last bastion of freedom on the western front of Europe, on the eastern front of Europe, we don't need that anymore because I'm president for an indefinite term and no elections necessary. I'm just going to keep it rolling, baby. So the American illiterates are voting for morons to send billions to Zelensky to fight for democracy in a country where he has completely suspended democracy. CERN, you did a great job.
I don't. That's pretty much the nutshell, isn't it? That's
the nutshell.
How did I get into this nutshell? Yeah, it's not looking good, bruv, as our friends over the pond would say. Again, why are we supporting Ukraine? To support democracy, right?
Yeah,
so
that's the ostensible purpose, anyway.
Why did we support Vietnam? For democracy, right?
Of course, always.
Why did we go into Afghanistan? Not Iraq. We wanted vengeance in Iraq, but Afghanistan we had to spread democracy, right?
Yep, always.
Wrong, Dane. It was yellow cake uranium. We needed to preserve democracy. Don't you know anything?
Yellow cake
Don't you
uranium,
know anything?
democracy,
we need to defend it or preserve it. Just democracy. I feel like we're in that perpetually in that Family Guy episode where Lois is running for office and all she has to say is 9/11 to every question, and they just go, oh God. It's like, well, why are we paying so high taxes? 9/11. Like, why do you get to see my dick at the airport again? 9/11. Why are we sending $6 billion to a country when we haven't even fixed our own yet? 9/11. Like, I guess it does take a whole country of illiterate dipshits to fall for the same trick over and over and not do anything about it, I guess. Yep. So maybe I'm starting to, you know what? I'm starting to come around on this whole, government thing. Maybe they are treating us exactly how we deserve to be treated, right? Because we aren't doing anything to them. We know it's rife. We know corruption is all the way through it, from the very bottom to the tippity top. Like, and we do what? Well, what are you gonna do? Anyway, I gotta catch the game tonight. I'll see you tomorrow. Like, what? Then you get what you get, right?
I hear that objection, and I'm with it as far as it goes.
Sustain it.
In the sense that you get the leadership or the country that you deserve. However, in light of our first segment, that leadership is creating its own perpetual grip on power because it keeps the people that are voting for it so dumb. At some point, we have to, I don't want to say take the blame off the voters, but again, they're not given the tools to be able to do anything about it intellectually. Forget physically and actually, doing what needs to be done.
I'm going to argue with you on that one.
Well, listen, I get you in the whole, age of information, ignorance is a choice kind of thing. They can look up pretty much anything.
Not even that. Not even that, bud. But what's that old phrase, man? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. You don't even have to be smart to know that shit.
David, do you think the 21% of U.S. adults that literally cannot read, so they couldn't even go online and search for something that made any sense to them, even if they wanted to?
Right.
That 21%.
I'm not blaming them, by the way.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying. I'm saying that to the extent that the population is intentionally kept dumb by those in power, is to the extent that it's actually not the fault of the people themselves for this continuing to happen. Now, again, I am more than happy to send plenty of blame around to all parties involved that deserve it. But I don't know. I can't say that it's totally
I'll tell you
on the people
who I'm actually
when,
blaming,
when
though.
this is what they're given.
I'll tell you who I'm actually blaming, though. I'll say that the ones that will bitch incessantly about the other side and about how corrupt it is, and then you say, well, because I'm sure we've done this 1,000 times, both you and I, to esteemed colleagues abound. And every time you go, well, your side isn't so fucking hot. Here's this, and like, well, yeah, that wasn't so bad either, but it's better than the alternative. And I was like, well, okay, is it though? Because both you two have been running this country since ever. So, and it's gotten us this far. And then you bring up a third party, and that's just ridiculous. You're just throwing your vote away. I can't believe any of that shit. Well, okay, well, if you don't believe it, then how is it ever supposed to change? So you either want to change it, you want to do something different, or you're totally okay with it being completely corrupt and eventually turning into a totalitarian dictatorship. Those are your two options. You got to try something different, because what this ain't working anymore. It needs a revamp. It needs something different. And that's who I'm blaming. It'll never happen. Well, like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Boomer. Like, I bet you never thought in your days that you would have something in your pocket that you could just pull it. I bet you, here's this. I bet you would never say that it's totally easier for me to pull out my phone and text an entire fucking paragraph to somebody than it is to call them. All the people that say that. And number two, I'll bet you, and this is my double down moment, I'll bet you never had to worry about saying a man could never be a woman in your lifetime. So that's all happened in your lifetime. Like, just look at any grandmas in this country. They've gone from horse and buggy to flying in the fucking sky to having a Tesla truck. Like, there's levels to this game, and things change like that. The internet happened in the last 30, 40 years? 40?
Yeah.
Okay. So, again, miss me with all that, like, it's too hard. That third party, it's all kooks over there. It's like, so you'd rather derelict, don't give a shit about anybody but themselves, make as much money as possible, sell this country down the road, no principles whatsoever. You'd rather them keep running the country? Okay.
You're exactly right in the sense that I don't think that 21% of illiterates are doing the heavy chunk of the voting. It is the ones who are, and primarily it's the ones that are quote unquote highly educated, right?
That's what I'm saying.
It's the ones that went to college and think that they know everything
that the educational system worked for.
Yeah, because they watched, Rachel Maddow furrow her eyebrows, 5 nights a week on MSNBC. Those people are definitely the ones to blame. And I could not agree with you more on that one. The problem is they're dragging the rest of us down with them. Yeah. And so, where do we go from here? Your guess is as good as mine. And if any politician, any leader, any individual tries to tell you that they have all the answers about where to go from here, they're also lying to you, and they're probably a snake. So, listen, it starts to sound like a broken record when we, constantly bang that drum of upgrade your avatar as much as possible, maximum self-sufficiency, learn how to defend yourself, both with your hands and with weapons, learn how to grow your own food, learn how, again, it sounds like a broken record, but really that's the only thing that you as the individual can do. You are not going to fix the societal-wide collapse that's coming because of the people that are running it and the people that keep throwing good votes after bad. Well, bad votes after bad. On a completely society-wide scale, any sort of thing that isn't an open, bloody revolution, which nobody wants, it's not in the best interest of anybody. There is, like what can you as an individual do? And that's a serious question to anybody to jump in the chat or anybody to give us their thoughts on it, because it sounds like it's nothing, because it's like, okay, I'm gonna move out to the country and I'm gonna grow some food and raise some chickens or whatever and blah blah blah. Well, again, if you have something better for how to get this crazy train back on the tracks, I'm all ears.
Good song.
I just don't know. I wish I did, but I don't.
I wish there was a easier way than doing the thing that I made fun of other people doing for so many years.
What's that?
Like the preppers. You remember when we used to make fun of them? Like, oh my God, those guys are crazy. Oh, they got a bunker? Oh, okay. Oh, you got some canned food, huh? All right.
Hey, speak for yourself on that one, buddy. I never made fun of them.
And then now it's kind of like, oh shit, I think I need a bunker. I think I need some canned goods. I think I need to figure out how to catch these chickens. But no, it's all those things that, I mean, as a formerly self-identifying Democrat, to watch myself move away from that party. Granted, I was technically only a Democrat for like 4 years in college, which I think is the right time to do it. If you're going to experiment with being a Democrat, do it in college. It's a lot. You don't have to feel bad about anything you're doing. Number one, that's pretty cool. You don't have to have a logical reason for anything that you're doing. Again, that's pretty cool. Number two,
you're automatic good person.
Yeah, you're automatically like so moral, so just, and shit. I mean that's the time for experimentation. So I experimented with Democrat. How would you say that? Liberalism. I guess I experimented with liberalism in college, but it didn't.
Liberalism, I suppose.
Well, modern day liberalism is what I'm talking about. That shit. Like even if I was a college kid, taking 18-year-old David all the way to now and like saying this is where it's going, I'd be like, you're out of your fucking mind. They're not going to defy reality each and every week and expect you to defy it with them. No, there's no way.
Yeah. Well, podcast listener, follower, Drumming for All says, stop paying taxes. Couldn't agree more with you, buddy. And actually, as insurmountable as a hill as that sounds, I do want to throw this part out there. You know how all of your lefty friends are always telling you, like, the rich aren't paying their fair share, blah, 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 blah. Well, when you look at the actual tax rolls for the federal government, at least, it's something like the top 1% pays something like 60 or 70% of all federal revenue. Just the top 1%. When you factor in the top 3 to 5%, they pay something like 95% of all federal taxes. So when you're talking about the top 3% of federal taxpayers, you're talking about, a few 100,000, a couple million people. Now, it sounds like a lot to say, all right, I'm one person that's not going to pay my taxes, but I need to, if you're the only person that does it, you're the nail that's going to get hammered down. They can just come wrap you, throw you in a cage and off you go. But if you got a few 100,000, a few million people behind you doing it all at the same time, they can't arrest you all. And even more importantly than that, guess who pays the federal jackboots to come beat down your door and throw you in jail? Your taxes. So if you're not paying them to come throw you in jail, and enough of you really, really high net worth earners, all kind of band together in 1 year, you can turn off the system. Well, I mean, to the extent that they don't just then use debt to fund their operations while they go round you all up. That's a big wild card that we can't really anticipate. But
you can't? Have you seen what they think of their own debt right now? They're not gonna fucking. Oh, we're not paying that off, but we'll definitely take the loan out today.
No, but what I'm saying is the question is how long can they sustain that with no revenue coming in? We know that they're going to deficit spend every year, but the question is if they're going to have to turn the deficit spending on turbo boost because they don't have any revenue coming in to counterbalance the debt.
And you think that cornered animal isn't going to do that? Then you're out of your fucking mind.
What I'm saying is absolutely they're going to do it. The question is how long can they sustain it? Can they sustain
they'll just print money. They'll just print the money. Here it is. I'm paying it.
Right, but then you get at this situation where nobody buys government bonds anymore, and then you have the collapse of the currency, and then you have, there's your peaceful revolution.
You think they won't take this thing for their own selfish needs? Are you out of your mind, Dane? We talk about these guys. This is our 195th episode. Of course they would do that. Those ego fucking maniacs. But no,
Yes.
what you're
It's possible. It's not without risk. That's all I'm saying.
It's everything's with a risk, Dave. Shit, standing up comes with a risk. But what I was trying to say, what I was giggling while you were on your rant, is you reminded me of that episode of Rick and Morty where he breaks into like the oh god damn it, now I'm like the bugs catch him and he actually escapes and like gets free in him, and he goes, I'm gonna topple a whole government by dropping a 1, by making their dollars worth 1 of itself to 0 of itself. And then it just pans.
Yeah.
It pans to like the guys in the Oval Office, and they're like, no, we need to do something about this. He's like, I'll do something about it for money. And he's like, give me your jacket. And he's like, no. And then the president's like, please, guys, there's a solution here that none of you are seeing. And he just pulls out a gun and shoots himself in the head. And they're like, give me your jacket. And like start ripping things off of everybody. So yeah. I think that if you think that group is just going to go, all right, you called our bluff, we're going to let this whole tax thing go, guys. All right? We cool? We're set?
No. It's not about calling their bluff and them waving the white flag. The question is, can they sustain the coming after of like I said, hundreds of thousands or millions of people who just in 1 year, that's the point. It's all going to be done at the same time. And
they don't have to. They have Terminators for them.
I'm not talking like rich people got your lawyers loopholes in the tax code system to pay as little as possible. I'm saying you all look at somebody to your left and you all look at somebody to your right.
Kind of like the apes.
You're like, this is the year we're doing it, right? Apes together strong, right?
Nope.
All right. We're all not paying.
And then
you
all
fucking
of a sudden,
pay.
They only show up on
I know where you live.
Oh, you motherfuckers. They only show up and take you. Oh, you bastards. I knew you were going to. You pussies, every last one of you. But, yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good luck with that.
In theory, it's not a terrible idea. It's just a complete crystal ball, predict the future impossibility for how it's actually going to turn out.
Listen,
but listen, hey.
Sometimes they do catch the Hail Mary. Sometimes they do catch the Hail Mary in the end zone.
Sometimes they catch it. And, you know, right on the heels of me saying that I don't have any better ideas than, you know, either that or, as Drumming for All also said in the chat, beans, bullets, and Band-Aids, baby. That's kind of, you know, getting at the prepper mentality. Other than those two things, your guess is as good as mine, folks. Form a community, find people that see the world, you know, at least marginally the same as you. Or
maybe
even
like
if they
one,
don't see it exactly like you, they're willing to actually be tolerant, you know, not the type of tolerance that the left talks about that really is none at all. But yes, as David's saying, exactly like the sane space. We're trying to build a community so that when everything goes ass-shaped, assuming the internet still works, you can all at least join in here and buck up your spirits and come chat it up with the boys and girls.
We're totally down with Elon. I can't imagine he's gonna shut us off, right? We've got his little symbol up there.
We think until, you know, listen.
But that's what I just came up with.
I don't trust anybody, David.
I don't want to give the dark side any ideas, but maybe that's what they're making these Terminators for, Dane. Maybe that's what AI is going to do. They're not going to have IRS agents anymore. They're not going to have to pay people to go out and do their dirty work. They're just going to go press a button. He didn't pay his taxes and collect the other 100, 900. And
that's why we got to do this before they get that. Time is of the essence, folks.
By the way, did you hear
missed 2024? Get it going in 2025.
Side note: did you hear what happened with who's that dickhead that's like the main guy of AI? God damn it.
Altman using Scarlett Johansson's voice.
Yeah. Hey, bro. If you think it stops there, that's where it starts. He's like, for all those listening that didn't hear the story, he wanted to create a voice for his AI, like Siri or whatever it is, and he wanted to use Scarlett Johansson's voice. So he reached out to her and he said, "Hey, can I use your voice for it?" And she said, unequivocally, "You absolutely may not use my voice for that." And then he goes, "Cool beans, give me a second," and then types it in, and then all of a sudden, her voice is being created digitally, so it's not technically her voice. There's your gotcha. And then Her voice is now applied to his AI against her will. What's that also called, Dane?
Well, listen, we don't want any defamation lawsuits. What he said he did, no way to prove at this point, he said that he already had the voice actress under contract before he reached out to ScarJo. So it was some other woman. And then, obviously if he could have the real thing, he was going to use Scarlett Johansson. But since she said no, he went ahead with this other voice actress who just happens to sound like her. Now, is that a plausible story? Absolutely not. Do I believe him? Absolutely not. But I have to at least put forward his argument.
That's his story. That's his story.
Yes, that is his story. So there's 3 options here. It's Scarlett Johansson's voice that he used despite her explicit, refusal to allow him. There is this third-party, unnamed person who he used. Or there's David's suggestion that, he used some AI robots to just kind of tweak Scarlett Johansson's voice just a little bit, but it still sounds indistinguishable from Scarlett Johansson. I don't know what the truth is, but it's foreboding to say the least.
It's going to be, at least it's a little, I'll tell you what, if you wanted to make a perfect Terminator, make it a ScarJo. Just knocking on your door. Hey, can I come in? Fuck.
Yeah.
What's this ring even doing on here? It's crazy. Hi, David. David.
But you got a magnet somewhere in that thing? Here, take it.
All but divorced. This damn thing, come on! Yeah, you can kill Sarah Connor. Kill the baby. I don't care. Are you going to stick around afterwards or what?
Oh, shit.
So anyway, Dan, with all that being said, do you have anything more?
No.
That's a pretty cheery way to end it.
I think so.
A fun way to greet our annihilation.
That's right. Give the people some laughs on the way out the door. I like it.
A bit of class, a little sass, and a whole lot of ass.
That's what we pay you for, David. So with that being said, you can find this episode at wmdpodcast.com/195. You can get the audio only on any podcast catcher. Just search Weapons of Meme Destruction. You can get the video, other than live. You can get it on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey. I don't know, like I said, I still don't know from last week if the recordings on X for live are, you can see them later on X. We'll keep you posted.
Figuring it out.
I should just remember to ask questions. I'm nameless, faceless guy. I'm asking that question now, so remember it for when we in the live stream here. But those are all the places you can find the video. You can also link up with us on X, Instagram, TikTok. You can support our work. Just go to WMDpodcast.com, the support our work tab. You'll see all your options there. You can do a one-time donation of any amount, $1, $5, $10, $15 a month. If you want to do a recurring donation, you can click the link down below this video, or we have a Bitcoin wallet if you want to donate that way. The merch QR code that's been on the screen for quite some time in this episode, but definitely check out the merch. We also have a link for that in the description down below on these videos, so definitely go check those out. We're constantly putting in new content, new hats, new sweaters, new mugs, you name it, it's over there. Also, feel free to give us suggestions if there's something that you want to see in there and would definitely wear to help spread the news, the good news of the sane space. We'll be more than happy to take it under advisement and maybe put it in the store and send you a free product of whatever your suggestion is if you do that. So with that being said, David, I think that's my spiel. Are we going to make it to 196?
Well, I don't know. We didn't even mention the fact that we got another no-no email from YouTube last week. That should have been our pre-roll. Yeah. I knew there was something.
Not a strike, but we actually got in trouble for sharing an MSN article, a mainstream article. And
about
the article, the article was how much of, if you remember a few episodes ago, Mark Cuban, when we raked him over the coals, and somebody did a breakdown of his however many millions of dollars of taxes he paid, where would it go within the federal bureaucracy? Completely innocuous, unobjectionable article, not even from some super dark website that nobody's ever heard of, just from MSN. And YouTube took it down, said that it was, what did they say about it? Was it misinformation or something?
Some bullshit
or
like
spam.
That.
They said it was spam or something.
What do we have to...
What are you gonna do?
Does it even matter anymore? Like they took it down. Like, deal with it. Like, can you please put it back? Like, no, fuck you. Anyway, that's our answer. No, fuck you. Like, damn, YouTube.
So listen, folks. When you're out there looking for articles and just trying to inform yourself about the world, all bets are off at this point. Mainstream sources, non-mainstream sources, whatever purpose you're going to use it for.
It's chaos out there. Just got to keep our composure.
Whatever you're using it for, if it's not in support of pre-approved opinions and narratives, expect to get banned, nuked,
post
whatever.
hoc too, because that was like weeks ago. Like they're going back to her.
They usually lag. They usually lag by a few weeks on these strikes and stuff. But like I said, that was not a strike. That was just a, hey, you bastards, quit sharing mainstream articles about stuff and saying improper things about it. I don't even know.
Dan, I think you forgot to mention Rumble in your spiel too. So we're also live on Rumble.
Did I forget Rumble?
Every Friday. I don't know. I just saw
that middle logo right up there on the screen.
Nameless, faceless guy. He was really fucking aggro. All caps, the text was that came in. So
I know.
Gonna be
we
hearing
have a fair
it.
amount of viewers over on Rumble, so we should definitely give them a shout out. Go good for Rumble. As a matter of fact, if you are a YouTube subscriber, make sure to go follow on Rumble and then just
because we might not be here.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But also just get YouTube out of your life. Nobody needs that kind of toxicity. We stay here because you're here. But if all of you went over to Rumble tomorrow and our subscriber on YouTube went down to 0, we'd just nuke the page. Don't even care. But
don't listen
I digress.
To don't listen to YouTube. We totally love you and how you treat us so good. Like Tina Turner and Ike. You treat us so well. Where would we be without you, YouTube? But anyway, until next week, unless we get nuked off of here, stay safe, guys. But more importantly, stay free.